me when it says connection available. Oh,
We're
live.
We're live. I want to change views, but I don't know how.
All right. We just touch it. Huh.
Yep.
All right. We're having Zoom issues. There we are.
I think we're having us issues.
Yeah.
There you go.
So good morning. We are Wednesday.
Wednesday
morning.
And it's the start of our third week of doing this. Wow.
Yeah. So, welcome for those of you who are watching live, and some of you are watching recorded. Monday was just me, Tuesday was just Al, and here we are together again. So
Together again. We were apart for 2 days. Social distancing.
They don't know.
They don't know, that's right. Hey, so every day we like to talk about ways that you can manage your emotional states in these tough times. I think it's really, really important to manage emotional states. Tara does too. And we think it's important because it impacts how our life turns out. It also impacts our health. And so, we like to talk about how to manage states. So I review the simple steps, 3 steps to go from a very negative emotional state to a very positive emotional state. And I review it every time because it takes 21 days to start a new habit, to get a new habit. And if you do a 21-day cycle 3 times, 63 days, the book, The Power of the Habit, speaks to how you can create new habits. And by doing a pattern interrupt, by breaking your negative emotional states and going to a positive emotional state, if you do it regularly enough, the break state becomes part of your new behavior. So if you do it long enough until it becomes habit, when you're in a negative emotional state, you'll actually go through the 3 steps of breaking the state, going into peripheral vision, and moving to a positive emotional state as part of your new behavior. And I think that would be better. I think that we're in really tough places. If we naturally migrated to optimistic places and problem-solving places and creative places, that would be much better for ourselves and our family. So I'm going to review the 3 steps. The first step when you're in a negative emotional state is to break the state. And we teach how to break states by looking up, imagining your telephone number on a billboard in color, see it in color, and then reading it backwards. And even as I do that now, I have to imagine seeing it on the billboard and then read it backwards. 15583897746. Good. So that breaks your emotional state. It takes you from a negative state into a neutral state. And while you're looking up, if you go into peripheral vision, now Tara likes to use the hands, so she's looking up at a spot, staring at a spot, keeping her head and eyes steady. And then she tries to see how far to the left or right she can see, right? And you notice things to the left or right come into focus, things above you, things below you, in front of you come into focus.
We can't stress enough how important this is, and how powerful it is to be able to take your brain into a state of relaxation and letting go of all the stress.
So as you're looking up at that point, keeping your head and eyes steady, start to notice the sounds around you. The sounds in front of you, behind you, above you, below you. Become aware of all the sounds. And as you see everything in front of you and hear everything around you, start to notice the feelings. Become aware of your feelings. Where are they? Do you feel warm or cold? What's the temperature of the room? What does the fabric of your cloth on your clothing feel like on your skin? What does the seat you're sitting on feel like? Notice the feelings and then as you notice this, notice a calm is starting to come over you, and really focus on your breathing now, and notice that your breathing is slowing down as you stare straight ahead and you hear all the sounds and you feel the feelings. And if you're aware, you can actually notice your pulse slowing down. So we've gone from an emotional state, we broke the state into a neutral state. Now we're in a calm state using peripheral vision. The next step is to fire our resource anchor. Now our resource anchor is a stimulus that's linked neurologically to positive emotional states. And when you hold that or fire your resource anchor, now that takes you to positive states that you've installed in there, like happy, confident, joyful, full of laughter. Right? A belly laugh. We often get people to anchor that time when they're belly laughing with friends, where you're laughing out of control. So now we've gone from a negative emotional state, we broke the state by saying our number, we get in a very calm state by doing peripheral vision, seeing, hearing, feeling everything in the now. Then we fire our resource anchor to go into an immensely positive state. And it happens in a snap. There you go. There's a quick review for you. If anybody has any questions about that, we really encourage you. We launched a new website on the weekend. We encourage you to take a look at it. It's still our old URL, www.inspiredoutcomes.ca. And right at the top of that opening page is our commitment to supporting you guys during the COVID-19 issues. And there's a link to Tara and I for 30-minute consultations. So if any of you want to go through those 3 steps for emotional state management or any other questions you have, hit that link, book a 30-minute session with Tara and I. It's absolutely free. We'd love to be there to support you, to share information. So again, just go to our website, inspiredoutcomes.ca. There you go. So let's get on with the topic of the day. What is the topic of the day?
He never knows.
I don't know. I'm like Winnie the Pooh. Think.
He gets excited.
I do.
What's it going to be?
I get to talk for half an hour extemporaneously. Yeah.
All right. So we have decided that, again, we're basing all of our talks on, he has a new cup.
Wild
Everyone
one.
acknowledge Alan's new cup.
I think it's Brienne's cup.
Oh.
I'm not social distancing
I'm 100%
anymore.
sure it is. Everyone go check out Brienne Callanan.
Yeah, we have an
Outside Health. And actually, you know what?
That's a great segue.
That's a great segue. Brienne is a naturopath.
Shout out to Brienne.
With us here at Inspired Outcomes. And she is a fantastic naturopath. So we're talking about health today. We're going to be focused, of course, primarily on how you can use your mind to make sure that you stay in the best health you can. Alan's pouring his coffee all over the floor.
Exciting.
Brienne is someone that I would, if I could, and if everyone had the resources, and I would ask every one of my clients to go work with Brienne in combination to doing all of the work in your mind to get your body in a state where it is going to, where you're setting yourself up for success, to balance hormones, to do all that kind of stuff, among so many other things. Brienne is an expert in hormones and health and weight maintenance and gut health and all that kind of stuff. So there's a big pitch for Wildside's wellness.
Well, yeah.
We should know.
Email us. We'll give you Brienne's links.
We'll put it under the comments. Okay.
And Brienne's a great source for nutritional products that can help support your immune system in these times. Mm-hmm. When this all started, she put a bottle of mushroom extract of some form on my desk that I take absolutely by her instructions, 3 capsules a day. Again, she's a brilliant resource. That was a good shout out. We're on a fire today.
She did not pay us for that.
No.
All right. So your health. So health is something that you want to start by managing your own expectations. So I would say to you that with the hundreds of women that I've worked with, probably the very first step for many of us is to actually identify what health means to us. What is it that you define as being health? Because there is no magazine, there's no prescription, there's nothing outside of you that is going to determine how you actually feel healthy and how you don't. So I would take some time, and I always do this with my clients, is what does healthy feel like to you? We all have hopefully experienced health in our life, and we've experienced not health, right? We've either, if it's just truly the opposite of health, or if it's actually illness or unwell. And I would guarantee to you, I don't know, I'm worried about saying medical things, but I would guarantee to you that if you feel really good, then probably you're in really good health. If your body is feeling strong and vital consistently over time, then chances are you have a really, really good active immune system. And by keeping your immune system in check, you're going to be in the best possible situation for these days. Of course, we're talking about staying healthy in times of uncertainty. So here's the first thing you want to do is actually just allow yourself to get a sense of your own health, and that would include your mental health, so your state of well-being. That includes your physical health. That includes your internal, gut health, all that kind of stuff. And actually write it out. Like, give yourself some time to pay attention and then to actually be aware of it, right?
Did you say emotional health too?
I don't know. Did I?
No, I can't remember.
Okay. And so that's the starting point. And then once you know that, so once you know what you're moving toward, we all have, hopefully a range of a weight and an energy level that tells us that we're in our best health. So you want to be able to remember, we've talked many times about how what you focus on drives your behavior, and your behavior determines your results.
Such a critical concept to understand.
So the mistake that people so often make is that they get results that they don't like. So they're not achieving the health goals that they want to, or they're not feeling the way they want to, and so what they do is they go back and they change their behavior, right? So they say, well, that gym sucked. That definitely was the reason why I didn't, the people weren't friendly enough, and then, the machines or whatever.
The equipment wasn't laid out in the right order for me.
That's why I have this muffin thing. Or whatever it is, right? That diet wasn't the right one for me. But the truth is, it's your focus that is going to be the driver. Yes. So you want to bypass, just ignore that whole bit about behavior, and bring yourself all the way back and ask yourself the question, what am I focused on? And if you don't know what your health is, if you don't know what it is that you're moving toward, chances are that's going to be a tough thing to be able to answer. So we would encourage you first just to become really aware of what you're moving toward, and allow yourself and give yourself a chance of actually being able to stay really focused on the health you want to see within your body, and your chances of getting there are good.
Yeah. And what we're able to focus on is determined by our belief structure, what we believe, right? And our values. So our values and our beliefs in life sort of dictate what we can focus on. If we don't value health, it's hard to focus on going to the gym. If one of our values is my one brother used to joke that he didn't eat to live, he lived to eat. So his value was these massive, lavish meals, and 3 times a day. And they were beautiful. Don't get me wrong. The meals were amazing. The celebrations were great. But his weight corresponded to those. Now, later in life, now he's on a radical diet. He must have shed 80 or 90 pounds now, I understand. And so, but his focus has changed. His focus has changed. Beginning, he focused on living to eat. Now he focuses on managing his weight to live. Right? And so when his focus has changed, his behavior has changed, and man, his results are changing. So focus drives behavior. Behavior creates our results. Our results are only feedback about what we're focused on. If we're not getting the results we want, changing our behavior isn't going to do anything. And that's why most New Year's resolutions, New Year's resolutions don't work, because people focus on behavior. They focus on changing something they're doing without changing their focus.
So once your focus is, I am going to make sure that every single day I use my body to support me, to thrive, to become stronger, to become healthier. And all of the food I'm going to put into my body is going to support my own health and my functioning and the immune health of my body and weight goals or whatever you have. I guarantee if that is your focus, if that continues to be your focus throughout the day, it doesn't really matter what gym you're a member of, or whether you just go outside and run around your house 20 times, which some of you with little kids know that you've had to resort to.
Yes.
If your focus is there, if that is your focus, you're standing there saying, I am going to nourish this body and I am going to move my body in a way that supports my health, then you're going to achieve that result. The behavior is not the determiner of that. So one concept that I think is really an NLP, really, really classic sort of foundational NLP frame is moving toward and moving away from.
Absolutely.
So when you're thinking about your health, again, I have worked with hundreds of women through this. And what tends to happen is that we accidentally end up moving away from what we don't want rather than moving toward what we want. And so just in terms of neurology, and Alan and I are always trying to bring this back to NLP and are you waving at people?
Yeah.
So a move toward basically means that neurologically, we're wired as human beings to do more, to put more effort and more energy into avoiding things that we don't want, that are potentially going to kill us.
We'll do more to avoid pain than we will to gain pleasure.
And it's a really important thing. This is a perfect design in the brain. If I'm getting chased by a lion, chances are...
You're always being chased by animals. You know that? All your examples go to chased by animals. Too much fun.
But if you're running away from
You should be one of the world's fastest runners.
You're going to run faster. Your body is going to put you into flight, right? You're going to actually do more to avoid that pain than you are if somebody says, hey, there's a race, and if you win the race, you get a medal or something.
A long time ago, I heard Tony Robbins give an example of people will save 10% of their income. And if you do that and invest it at a moderate interest rate, it's only a matter of 25 years or so before you have $1 million. But most people won't do that. They won't save a little bit every month. However, if they had $1 million in a pile in their living room, so they'll do very little to get the pleasure of having the $1 million or abundance, financial abundance, if you will. But if they had a pile of money in their living room that represented financial abundance and somebody came in and was going to steal it from them, to avoid the pain of having that money stolen, they'd almost do anything. And he always gives an example. Whoops.
Sorry.
They give the example that we'll do more to avoid pain than we will to get pleasure. And that's a really good frame to understand, because when you link that to focus drives our behavior, creates our result, most of us are focusing on what we don't want. Tara and I often ask people, what do you want? And they'll tell us everything they do want. I'm going to go over here for a second and fix the other live camera, so I'll be right back.
So in terms of your health, the reason that it can be, we actually use both. So as a coach, we use both move away from energy and move toward energy in order to get a momentum that is going to be most successful for you. So if you have, say somebody has gone to their doctor, or they are actually ill, any scenario where you're actually really worried about your own health, you're likely to be motivated by a move away from, right? So you finally get to the point where you say to yourself, enough is enough. I'm sick now, or I'm overweight and I'm risking diabetes, or whatever the case may be. And that may be a really, really, really good motivator to get you started, to put down the poutine and pick up something different, to actually go for that walk for 30 minutes every morning, whatever it is. And we would encourage that. We would say, go for it. Let yourself be driven by the fear of the pain that you don't want to have for a little while. But if you can imagine, if this is the pain, okay, this is the unhealth or the illness or whatever.
It's right where I was sitting.
It's like you can't come back yet. It's like a gravitational source. As you get away from it, so maybe you start to feel better, you get healthier, you lose weight, whatever it is. This is like the focus, right? This is the motivator. So as you get away, it actually lessens, right? And all of a sudden, that away from is less intense. And so this is where people go, oh, you know what? It's actually, I can just give myself a day off or whatever. And they start to do this. And if you don't change that, you get people that ping pong, right? You hear about yo-yoing and all that stuff. And you're just going to be going back and forth and back and forth. People do this with their financial situations, with their health, all sorts of situations. What you want to have happen is, sorry, I'll try and do this without, is that you want to, once you get yourself away from that pain enough, that the move toward motivation over here has a lot more reality to it, right? So it may not have been motivating over here when you were sick or unhealthy to imagine, or broke or whatever, to imagine the things that you'll get once you are very healthy or very financially stable or whatever it is. But once you turn this around, when someone is further away, you're going to get them oriented here. And now, because what you'll notice too, if they're not focused on what they want, they're backing up from what they don't want, but you don't even know where you're going, right? You're just not there. That's not a very pleasant way to live. But if you turn around and now you're far enough away, you look at this and you say, okay, you know what? Here's the health I want. I want to be able to play with my kids and run with them and play with them and feel good and sleep well and, buy the vacation or whatever. Now you start moving toward this. And the cool part is that if you talk to people who do health as a thing,
who are successful at it?
People who run every day, people who they do it as a lifestyle. They are the healthy people. They're not doing it because they don't want this thing, usually, what they're doing is they're really, really motivated to the positives, all of the things that it brings for them. This is no longer even in their radar. They're focused only here. And so this is the trajectory you want to create for yourself.
As a coach, as a life coach, it's our responsibility to actually get people looking towards where they want to go long term. Pain can be a massive motivator, but it can't be a massive motivator forever. Sooner or later, you need to look where you want to go. Metaphorically, it would be like not wanting to live in town A and moving to town B. And as you left town A, you go down the highway backwards, continually looking at town A, the town you don't want to live in anymore. Imagine being out on the 401, leaving a city, trying to get to another city, driving backwards. And when you're focused on being away from, that's exactly what you're doing. You're not looking at where you want to go.
So I would ask everyone to try this, because it's a very cool experiment, is to go through your day, and in terms of your health, say you wanted to focus on your health. You could do this in any area, of course, right? Your relationship, your finances, your work, whatever. But because we're talking about health today, go through your day and ask yourself the question.
Yeah.
Am I motivated right now? Are the words inside of my head? Is my action, my behavior, is all of the stuff around the action you're doing towards your health, whether it's fitness and physical, like exercise health, or whether it's food and nutrition. And you say to yourself, am I motivated right now? Am I motivating myself by what this is going to bring me? Or is my focus right now about what I'm trying to avoid? So the difference is so simple. It's the difference between, I hate this body, I hate how I feel, I'm gonna have to go start exercising and I'm gonna go for a run because I'm so, sick of feeling this way. Compared to, I love this body. And I know that this body can feel so much better when I treat it differently. And I know that if I consistently do this for the next 30 days, I am going to have so much more energy and I'm going to feel so much better. And I want to honor and respect my body enough to do this. It's the same thing, right? You're still going to go outside and run for 30 minutes or 10.
50 feet.
But the motivation is so different. And if you can catch that, your life is just nicer. Your life is more fun. Your life feels better when you can notice yourself consciously at first, reorienting yourself so you're not focused this way, but instead you're focused this way. It brings so much pleasure and joy, and it's so simple. It's so simple to do once you bring your awareness to it. Like anything, at first you'll have to consciously do it. Again, this is one of those things where I would say put a little dot on your hand, and every time you do it, just check it out. Just, the things I've done in the last 10 minutes, toward or away from. Okay.
And everything we do in life is motivated by pain or pleasure. I defy you to find something you're doing that doesn't have a move away from or a move towards component.
And sometimes it's a bit of both, right? Sometimes it's a little bit move toward and a little bit away from. I have my coffee because I think we said this before. Partially because I really want the joy it brings me, partially because I don't want to, fall asleep. Okay, let's move on to the science.
The science?
Science.
What science?
We've become scientists.
Oh.
So the reason this is so important, and the reason we're bringing this up today exactly in these last 5 or 6 minutes, is because the science is so clear on positive mindset, and in support of our health, there's very little that's as powerful as being in a positive mindset. And so in supporting your immunity, so we know that stress hormones cause our immune system to slow down to the point where it stops functioning properly. When you don't have a properly functioning immune system, you're not going to be feeling your best right now, right? It's so much so that stress hormones, we know that when you're doing, so stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, all those hormones, when somebody is getting a transplant, so in surgery, if somebody's getting, say, a liver transplant or an organ transplant, they will actually fill the person with stress hormones because they know that it lets the immune system become so weakened. The immune system gets so weakened by those stress hormones that it won't reject the new organ, right? Because the immune system, its primary purpose is to reject things that are not you, reject things that are not your healthy, supportive self. And so stress hormones, we know, put you at a disadvantage in your immune system. So
negative emotions come with stress hormones. Cortisol, for men specifically, but for anybody who has anger issues, cortisol is a chemical that's released in our body when we're angry, and it's directly correlated to health issues, negative health issues.
If anyone is interested in this, I would highly recommend reading Bruce Lipton's book, Biology of Belief. I've taken his course, I've read his stuff. Alan and I are very, we're so interested because it lines up so well with what we do.
He was a hardcore biologist, one of the leading experts in stem cell research. And in one of his experiments, he took a culture of cells, split them into 2 petri dishes, put the chemicals of negative emotions, cortisol and others, in one petri dish, and then put the chemicals from positive emotions in the other. Serotonin. And the petri dish with the cells with the negative emotions, chemicals from negative emotions died, and the ones in the other one thrived. It was a profound moment for him, and it's in his book, Biology of Belief.
Mm-hmm. So here's the fun part. Your brain works as if it's reacting to real things all the time, right? We've talked lots about how the unconscious mind doesn't differentiate real from unreal. If you give yourself a boost in your brain, literally by watching a movie that you love, you create all of this positive chemistry in your head, and it doesn't matter that it's fictional. It doesn't matter that you're watching something else that is changing your neurology and your state. It gives you the exact same results as if it's something totally organic and natural and real in your life. It doesn't matter if you get into a positive state for 5 seconds or 5 minutes. It still contributes to a much, much more positive mindset all around that you're doing chemically, biologically within your body. You're putting yourself into a better, more resilient state physically.
So why don't we wrap it up? Why don't we put a bow right here? So as we're in this period of COVID-19, let's focus on what we want 6 months from now, 3 months from now. Let's focus on the things we want and take action towards getting them. Now, part of action towards getting what we want, the behavior, is to get through this in a healthy way. To get through this mentally healthy, physically healthy, and to the best of our ability, financially healthy. And focus on what we want in June or July or August. When you focus on that and you start taking behavior, now, we have to walk our talk. So Tara, focusing on what we want, reconfigured our whole house. She moved the where we normally would watch the entertainment down to we have a 3-story town. She moved the entertainment to the lower level. She turned our main level literally into an educational center for the children. And so focusing on what we wanted the children to finish their education, we wanted to have a place to relax, and we wanted to have a house where we could breed bunnies like crazy.
And we wanted a place where we could throw our kids down in the
dungeon. And it's a simple example, but it's about, in tough times, focus on what you want, take the action. Her focus drove her behavior. Behavior creates the results. And so let's close with that. Let's just close right there, and we'll see you all again tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us. This is so much fun. All right.